Pool, own solar, and a private lane in Kailua for 1.4. A resurfaced pool. Solar you already own outright, not leased. A termite treatment already done with a 5-year warranty attached. This Kailua home has already cleared 3 of the most expensive line items most buyers still end up budgeting for after closing. I'm Oksana with Island Living Oahu, and we're in Kailua's Coconut Grove pocket at a home listed at 1.4 million where the systems that actually cost money to replace have already been handled, even though the house itself is still wearing its original 1959 character. That combination is worth understanding clearly, because it's easy to look at a home like this from photos alone and misread exactly what you're getting. Let's start with what the listing itself says about condition here. This listing is marked average condition, the neutral term, not a red flag and not a marketing spin, just where this home sits between renovated and needing real work. This is also the first time it's come up for sale in a long time, held by the same owners for decades. Now, the part that actually changes the math on a home like this. The pool has been resurfaced and retiled, so you're not looking at a pool that needs 6 figures of work. You're looking at one that's already been brought current. The solar on this property is owned outright, not leased, and that's a distinction worth taking seriously if you haven't shopped for a home on this island before. A leased solar system on Oahu means a new buyer either takes over someone else's monthly lease payment or has to buy the system out at closing, and either way, it's a real ongoing cost you're inheriting. Owned solar means none of that. The system, along with an owned solar water heater, simply comes with the house, lowering your electric bill from day one with no lease payment sitting on top of it. On an island where power costs are really high, that's real money back in your pocket every single month. Then there's the private lane. This home sits off a quiet, low-traffic access point rather than fronting a busier through street, which means less noise and less drive-by traffic day to day. It's the kind of detail that doesn't show up as a number anywhere, but it changes what living here actually feels like. If you've ever toured a home that looked great in photos and then turned out to sit right on a busy connector road, you already understand why buyers on this island specifically search out lane and cul-de-sac addresses when they can find them. One more genuine buyer protection fact worth knowing, and this is the kind of thing that usually only comes up after an inspection, not before. This home has already been tented and treated for termites, with a 5-year warranty in place through the company that did the work. On an older wood frame home in Hawaii, that's a real documented layer of protection most buyers would otherwise have to negotiate for or pay for themselves after the fact. Before I go further, if a rate on a new mortgage is the piece making this range feel out of reach, here's something worth checking before you rule anything out. There's a running list somewhere around 100 homes across Oahu where the existing financing itself can pass to the next buyer instead of everyone starting over with a new loan, and a portion of those carry rates locked in years ago, well under what's available on a new mortgage today. I keep that list current with a fresh MLS pull twice a month. Since which homes qualify shifts as listings come and go, it's free at the link below. Pop your email in and I'll get it to you. So here's the actual picture. This is not a home where every system needs attention. The big ticket items, the pool, the solar, and pest protection, have already been addressed. What hasn't been touched is the finishes. The kitchen and bathrooms are still in their original, well-kept condition rather than fully modernized. That's a specific, useful combination if you're the kind of buyer who wants to put your own design decisions into a kitchen and baths over time, without also having to replace a roof, resurface a pool, or buy out a solar lease on top of it. A kitchen remodel is a project you can plan, finance separately, and schedule around your own life. A pool that's failing, a roof at the end of its life, or a solar system tied to someone else's lease are not on your schedule. They show up as a lump sum at the worst possible time, and they routinely change how a lender or an inspector values a home. This one has already cleared those larger, less predictable hurdles. What's left standing between this home and a fully modernized one is entirely within a new owner's control, on a timeline they choose. Let's look at what's actually happening in Coconut Grove right now. because the market data here tells a really different story than the last couple of pockets I've covered in Kailua. Pulling every single family sale in this neighborhood over the past year, 44 homes closed, priced from $1 million up to $2.2 million. The median time on market was about 3 weeks, but the average stretched out to nearly 6 weeks, a wider gap between the two than you typically see, which tells you Coconut Grove has more variation in how fast homes move here than some of the tighter pockets nearby. A little over 60% of sales closed within 30 days, which still means a meaningful share, closer to 40%, took longer than a month. Break those 44 sales down by price band, and this home's asking price sits in the busiest part of the market. 10 sold under 1.2 million. 19, the largest group by far, closed between 1.2 and 1.5 million, exactly where this home's 1.4 million asking price falls. 9 sold between 1.5 and 1.8, 5 between 1.8 and 2.2, and just 1 sold above that. Right now, there are 9 single-family homes active in Coconut Grove and 8 more under contract. 17 total either active or under contract against that same 44 sale pace over the past year. Worked out against the closing rate over that window, that lands at somewhere around 4.5 months of supply. As a quick reference point, under 3 months of supply usually favors sellers. 3 to 6 months is generally considered balanced, and anything north of 6 starts tilting toward buyers. 4.5 months sits comfortably in that balanced range. For a buyer, that means real choice without the kind of bidding pressure you'd see in a tighter pocket. For a seller, it means presentation and realistic pricing carry more of the weight here than they would somewhere that sells fast, regardless of condition. There's an off-market side to this pocket worth knowing. Looking back at a broader 2-year pool on this same neighborhood, 37 single-family listings in Coconut Grove canceled or expired without ever selling, ranging from around $600,000 up to just over $2.5 million, with a median right around $1.23 million. That's not a sign of a weak market. The 44 closed sales already prove otherwise. It's a reminder that pricing has to match the moment a home actually lists, not the moment a seller wishes it would sell for. If you're sitting on a home in this neighborhood that's been through one of those disappointing cancel and relist cycles, that's exactly the kind of conversation worth having before trying again with the same approach. There's a useful, specific comparison sitting right on this same street worth walking through. 3 homes on this exact street sold within the past couple of years, all of them a short walk from this one. 1, a smaller home under 1,000 square feet on a similarly sized lot sold for just under $1.2 million in about a week and a half. Another, close in size to this home, sold for $1.55 million, but it took the better part of a year to find a buyer. A third, larger than this home at over 2,000 square feet, sold for $1.58 million in under 3 weeks. That spread, a week and a half to nearly a year, all 3 homes on the very same street, shows how much presentation, pricing, and timing matter even when the location is identical. Being on the right street doesn't guarantee a fast sale. Being priced and presented correctly does. Worth noting, this home's own $1.4 million asking price lands right in the middle of that same street range, above the smaller home and below the 2 larger ones. Exactly where you'd expect a mid-sized, original condition home on this street to land. Let's talk about land value here too, because it tells the same underlying story this whole series keeps coming back to. The county's assessment on this parcel puts a little over 76 cents of every dollar into the land itself, not the structure. That's lower than some of the other Kailua pockets I've covered. This is a smaller lot than some of the larger parcels elsewhere, but it still means the majority of what you're paying for here is the ground underneath the house, not the 1959 structure sitting on it. That's exactly why a home in original condition on a lot like this one still holds real value. The finishes are the least permanent part of what you're buying. Whatever a future owner eventually decides to do with the kitchen or the bathrooms, that land value underneath it isn't going anywhere. And historically, it's the piece that's done the most appreciating over time. If you're a seller in Coconut Grove sitting on a home that's still in its original condition, here's the part worth hearing directly. The data doesn't say original condition homes don't sell here, 44 closed in the past year alone. What it says is that pricing and presentation matter more in a pocket with this much spread between a week and a half sale and a year-long sale on the exact same street. A clear, accurate condition disclosure, a well-lit, straightforward listing, and a price that reflects the home as it actually is, not a fully renovated comp down the street, is what separates the homes that move in weeks from the ones still sitting after a year. One last thing worth saying plainly, since I'm not the listing agent here and this isn't a sales pitch for this specific address. The point of walking through the actual data, the pool work, the owned solar, the termite warranty, the same street comps, isn't to convince you this is the right home. It's so you can look at the listing photos with real context instead of guessing. Sometimes that context points you toward this exact house. Sometimes it points you toward one of the other 43 homes that closed in this pocket over the past year, or toward asking better questions about a home in a completely different neighborhood entirely. Zooming back out to the bigger picture, Coconut Grove has closed 44 single-family sales over the past year, priced from $1 million up to $2.2 million, with the busiest activity landing right in the 1.2 to 1.5 million range. This home sits in a market running about 4.5 months of supply, and a real documented example just a few doors down of how much timing and presentation can swing a sale from under 2 weeks to nearly a year, even on the same street. Against that backdrop, a home with an already resurfaced pool, owned solar and an owned solar water heater, a private low-traffic lane, and termite protection already handled and warranted, priced at $1.4 million, is worth walking through in person rather than scrolling past, because a photo doesn't show a renovated kitchen. And if you've been eyeing a specific home in this neighborhood that seemed to vanish without ever selling, reach out to me directly. I can look into what actually happened with it, sometimes long before it ever shows back up on the open market. I'm Oksana with Island Living Oahu. Subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.